Hi, I hope this week goes well for everyone. It looks like you have a light week, but really you don't. You are revising your paragraphs based on my feedback from the last several weeks, but you're also adding a new dimension, which is discussed thoroughly in Gill, but which I have here um, very in a very simple form, what we're looking for that would help us improve our language levels. Now, in doing this, I am not saying that your oral speech, because we're going to talk about elements of oral speech, is wrong. We adjust our language to different situations. I talk differently to my husband than I do my dogs, although sometimes he says it's the same. You talk differently to your teachers than you would your best friend. I mean, think of that. Think of how you talk to each other. Maybe you talk to your boss differently than you talk to your coworkers. And that's okay because we adjust our language for these reasons. So the first thing I want to talk about is we use fillers in our language. Some people use duh, some people use some people use some people use actual words as fillers. You see, well, and those are okay because in your oral language, what you're doing is filling in with some words or some sort of strange sound to be able to get your brain to think. Did you notice how I paused there? I was trying to get my brain to think, and I didn't use a filler, which I might have done with a friend. What I did here was just sort of stop so I could say something that sounded somewhat coherent to you, okay? So if you're starting sentences with things like, you see, I was going to do it tomorrow, you're talking in oral language, and we don't write down our oral language. We might in our first draft, but then we have to get rid of it. So although written language has some of the same qualities as speech, there are differences. And basically what this page is saying is that we have the fillers, what I just talked about, and spellings of words need to be taken care of and written out, going to LIGHT for light through THROUGH, those kinds of things. Slang is very much the same, and the reason we don't use it is that slang is the current vernacular, the current phrases of the day. I grew up in the 60s and 70s and heard things like, out of sight. And nobody says that today. But if you saw it written in a book, you would know that that book was dated. It was from the 60s or 70s because of that. Sometimes I refer to my children, my two sons, as kids. But nobody thinks I raise pet goats, right? But in an academic paper, I would need to use sons rather than kids. You need to be specific what kids are. They're children, okay? You don't raise pet goats, okay? I mean, I don't raise pet goats. You're not talking about pet goats in your papers. You're talking about children. And slang is usually understood by one segment of our culture. We may not understand the slang, let's say in Pittsburgh. In Pittsburgh, they say Ewans. You might think, what? Ewans? Ewans means you all, or in the South, it's y'all. That's slang from different areas. Cliches are another thing you want to get rid of. You don't want to say things like they played their heart out. That doesn't have any meaning because it's been said so much. Nobody kind of hears it anymore because it's what you expect to have, and you want to engage your readers in something new. Now, what's very important is the denotative and connotative meanings of words. Denotative means it's the dictionary meaning of the word. It's literal. Connotative meaning is the feelings and the emotions associated with the word. For example, the word Muslim. The denotative meaning means someone of the Islamic faith. But the connotative meaning has all sorts of things in our society now. To some people, Muslim means terrorists. To others, it means peaceful people that I know as friends. And so we have these feelings and emotion associated with the word. Look at the emotion associated with the national anthem. The denotative meaning is just this is the anthem that signifies respect to the United States of America. If you're talking about the American national anthem, every country has their own. But the connotative meaning with the national anthem has caused so much trouble right now. We have people angry at football players for taking knees. We have people locking hands in solidarity now. So the connotative meaning associated with national anthem is much more emotional than it is the denotative meaning. So you need to pick your words that way. You need to pick your words in a way that convey the actual meaning, denotative, but that can have that sort of emotion that you want to convey in your papers. This week you only have, let me see, you only have, I shouldn't say that, you have the quiz on Gil, and Gil is talking about this idea of language and this idea of connotation, denotation, slang, those kind of things. Read it carefully, take the quiz, and then you are going to take that paragraph, check it for word choice, and explain after you do that. There should be a paragraph after your paragraph, what you changed and why. You should also be looking at the information I gave you about your citations. If you didn't put one in, you need to put one in from your research. If I said your research isn't appropriate for that paragraph, then you need to go out and find the new research. Because next week it is, I believe, you are going to take that paragraph and it's going to be expanded into a paper. And you're going to be turning in your final paragraph revision. So take the time this week to revise that paragraph to the best state that you can possibly do. Okay? If you have any questions, you know where to find me.